Welcome to Harvest. This morning we are in Freeport. We have heard this name all throughout this first series, Wasamaki. Well, we are here today in Freeport at Samaki Ecosystems, and we are going to meet Earl Rahman Narona, who is the owner-operator of this site. He is going to tell us today about syntropy, permaculture, and perhaps more importantly, what Wasamaki actually means. Welcome to Harvest. We on. Earl Rahman Narona, welcome to Harvest. We are at your space. This is Wasamaki. Please tell us about Wasamaki.
So Wasamaki was created about 24 years ago. Okay. It's a 30-acre estate. When we first moved here, it was a citrus estate, but really there was no money in the citrus, and there was a lot of chemicals that were being used. And so we transitioned it over to what you see now, following something called permaculture, which is about designing sustainable sites. And our main products now really are tropical fish, cut flowers, some organic produce, and we also teach workshops and do tours.
Okay, the name Wasamaki has come up several times in the season so far by some of our guests. The question I am most frequently asked is, what is Wasamaki? And have I just said it correctly?
Yep, so you said it correctly. Wasamaki is a Swahili word. I'm originally from Kenya.
Okay.
So I was born and grew up in Kenya. I lived in Canada for about 8 years, and then I ended up moving to Trinidad about 24 years ago. So Wasamaki means from the fish. When we started this whole farm, it was based on tropical fish that we were growing and then exporting to Canada. And the whole idea is integrating the fish into the whole ecosystem so that all the wastewater from the fish and the poop from the fish kind of gets recycled back into the plants and creates a little ecosystem.
But what was your drive to create Wasamaki Ecosystems?
So I've always been passionate about the environment, and we've been seeing how the environment's being degraded, and this was kind of a way of us doing what we were passionate about, as well as in some ways educating people and having an example to show people of how you can be living in some sort of balance with nature without destroying it to achieve your own kind of living needs.
And as you've spoken about that, this is a very large open space. Is this where you teach? Is this where you have these workshops?
Yes, so this is what we call our teak structure. It's all from teak that's been harvested on our site. We've taken the raw teak, we've shaved it down, you've shaved it down, yes. You've been here with us when we've done it. And then we had an instructor come and instruct us on how to put it all together. Everything is triangulated for stability. We've used tires in the bases. It's a lot of material that's from the site. And yeah, we use it to teach all our classes, so that we run most of our workshops out of this space. It's a nice open space, but it's covered. And you're kind of within nature as you're on this site.
What are the workshops, classes? I see something about loud lollies here. What happens in this space? What does Wasamaki teach, host? What does it bring?
So
people?
Our overlying course, the main big course that we teach on this site is a permaculture design course, which is a 10-day course that people come here for 10 days consecutively. That introduces you to all the principles and how you can actually design a sustainable site like this. And we use this as an example to actually walk people through the process, as well as teach them all the background information. We also run other workshops that are smaller, like one-day workshops on natural buildings, so that we have a pizza oven over there. We have a rocket stove over here. We have the dragon up on that side.
Who I believe is Mortimer, is that correct?
It's Mortimer the dragon. That is a collection of about 10 different people's work, starting from the bamboo structure to the tires that were incorporated into the structure, to the different clay mixes that we put on it, to the dragon that was started by someone, and then to the dragon that was finished by somebody else. partially finished. We still have to finish the back. So it's been an ongoing project for the last 7 years, but it's helped to build community.
How long have you been doing permaculture courses here in Trinidad?
So we've been teaching permaculture courses for about 15 years now.
15 years?
15 years.
How many people would you say have done your permaculture course?
Well, our main permaculture course has probably been 200 to 300 people that have passed through it. And then we've had one-day courses, we've had other workshops that maybe another 600 or 700 people have passed through. And then we do tours, and we've had schools visit. We used to have the El Socorro Center for Wildlife Conservation here. They used to have a lot of schools that came through. So we've probably touched maybe a few thousand people.
Wow. Do you get to see, or are you aware that the knowledge that you teach is actually being taken up and practiced by the people that come through the farm
Well, we don't follow up with a lot of people, but people occasionally send us pictures of what they're working on, and then we post it on our Instagram page or our Facebook page. So yes, there is a little bit of follow-up, and every time we do have workshops, people that have taken other workshops come and then they tell us what they've done, but we don't have a formal way of tracking people. But we do kind of hear it, what people are working on. Because permaculture covers everything that you do on your site, from growing food to harvesting energy to trapping your water to recycling your waste to encouraging biodiversity, people will take certain aspects of it and work with that until they kind of achieve it, and then they'll move to other things. So we are fully immersed in permaculture here, so we have this huge site that we're working with, but other people that just have a house or an apartment will take things that are important to them in that situation and they'll apply them, and then they'll look for other things to move on to. So it's kind of something that you grow with as you grow.
Thousands of people you think you've influenced through this space?
Yes, and then we've also run workshops in other Caribbean islands, and I've done a project in Barbados where we've rehabilitated a quarry. So yeah, we're slowly getting out there. And then when we have permaculture design courses, sometimes we get people from all over the world that will sign up and come over here. With COVID, a lot of that stopped, but previously we had people from Canada, from Europe, from the States, from the Middle East, that have come and taken the workshop here. So that you learn permaculture, which is a universal set of principles, but then you tend to come to countries that you want to learn more about it if you live in those type of climates.
Right. The practice and knowledge of permaculture originated from Bill Mollison in Australia, but we had a trainee deeply involved with Bill Mollison that brought that back home to us, right?
Yes, I think there have been a couple of waves of that information coming in. Dr. Hugh Skinner in the 70s and 80s was in Australia, and he did work occasionally with Bill Mollison, from what I hear. And he came and he started doing some of that on his site in Kumana, and then now on his site in Chicklands here where he lives. And he introduced that concept to some other people, and then I was finally introduced to it through a potter named Bunty O'Connor. And she kind of gave me a permaculture book 24 years ago, just before we moved on this farm, and I was applying that for the first 10 years. And then I met some other permaculture people in Trinidad, mainly John Stallmeyer, who then we kind of got together and have been teaching courses together since then.
Okay. 24 years. Wasamaki Permaculture has been here in Freeport, yes?
Yes.
And you said that this was a citrus estate.
Yes.
Do you have any citrus trees left?
Well, we over the first 3 years of us buying this estate, we tried to maintain some of the citrus, but it was just too expensive for the amount of return that we were getting. So, and there was a lot of chemicals that were being used, a lot of fertilizer, a lot of pesticides, a lot of herbicides to keep down the grass, which was not in tune with what we wanted as the final picture for this site. So we slowly transitioned out of that. We started planting a lot of timber trees, cedar, mahogany, pink pui, around the citrus trees. And then as those trees matured, they eventually shaded out the citrus, so that we maybe have 5 or 6 citrus trees left. It's just that we couldn't get labor.
Okay.
So to maintain it. So it didn't make sense in the long run to try and maintain those trees. In certain areas, we may plant back some that within our pattern is more convenient for us to manage. But at that point, where they were planted within the farm made it difficult for us to be able to afford to keep them going.
So when we look at the drone footage, we're just going to see a stand of trees around a whole bunch of razor grass and thing. You're telling me that your hand and the birds and the insects and the critters are responsible for what we see here? This is a design?
Yes. So we've designed the site first to catch water.
To catch water.
All right, so that we have this design, this site designed in a way that there are numerous ponds within the site to harvest water. So at even the driest of dry seasons, we have water that we can do agriculture with. We then planted trees to start shading out the grass, because grass is a huge issue to us because of fires during the dry season, so that by us shading out more of the grass, there's less maintenance. And trees have an intrinsic value in them. The price of timber goes up with inflation, so that if you plant a tree now, that tree is worth a lot more money later down the line.
In 25 years.
In 25 years than it is now, because inflation keeps taking the price of timber up. So that is a way of security for me and my children, is that instead of putting money in a bank, we've put it in trees, so that hopefully the return is better. And most people that I've talked to that have done that, the return is way better than just putting it in a bank. So we've put our effort into trees. The trees have brought back the wildlife, and now we run tours in the night with the West Indian Herping Group. They will come over here, they will take people through our regenerated forest, and they will look for lizards, snakes,
regenerated
frogs.
Forest. Listen to that word right there, regenerated
forest.
Well, I tell you what, I'd like you to tell me some more about that, but I understand you have a pretty amazing bottle wall in the kitchen, so let's go and take a sit down over there and run it from that side.
Sure, let's go over to the bottle wall.
Stop the rising cost of food now. Grow your own food. Provide for your family and earn an income with Plant Doctor's Hydro Aqua of number 30 Matilda Road, Princestown. Grow safe, clean, and organic with your hydroponic supplies, organic potting soil, fertilizers, pesticides, and seeds. Let us help you grow and earn. Call 379-6710 or WhatsApp us at 372-9440. Plant Doctor's Hydro Aqua. Let's grow TNT together, one plant at a time.
Munich Home and Garden specializes in hardware, paint, home decor, tools, agricultural supplies, pet supplies, car accessories, appliances, and much more. Located at Val Park Shopping Plaza, Atlantic Plaza, Point Lisas, and Eastern Main Road, St. Joseph. Shopping comfort with our well-secured outlets. Call us at 663-5163 or visit the Munich Home and Garden Facebook page or www.munichtT.com. Munich Home and Garden, where we make shopping a fun experience. Calling all farmers, fishermen, and agri-entrepreneurs. The Agricultural Development Bank is offering its flagship product, the New Reality Loan. Get up to 80% financing for any viable business in agro-processing, agri-services, or farming with an effective interest rate of 3 to 5%. The New Reality Loan can assist with business startup, expansion, or product rehabilitation, working capital, debt consolidation, or for the purchase of new equipment. Visit one of our convenient locations in San Fernando, Chaguanas, Sangre Grande, Port of Spain, and Tobago. Come in and we'll make your dreams a reality with our New Reality Loan. Call toll-free 800-4ADB. That's 800-4232, or visit www.adbtt.com. The Agricultural Development Bank, growing stronger together.
You had mentioned before about West Indian hooping and people using these spaces.
Yeah.
What is that about?
So Wasamaki is a 30-acre estate. We've developed it to have a lot of potential, but just as one person, I can't achieve the full potential for this site. So I'm always looking for people that can almost layer onto this site, help us make some income from them being here while they can also make income for themselves. So we've worked with a few people. West Indian Hooping is the people that do the night tours over here.
Night tours?
Night tours.
What did it have to see in the dark?
So you come with your headlamp, you go out with some very experienced guides, and they will find frogs, scorpions, snakes, maybe catch a baby caiman, and they will show you everything about it, and you will be able to see stuff that you didn't realize was in Trinidad, or stuff that maybe you were afraid of, and you see it in a very different context. So that a lot of people that tend to be afraid of certain things, by the time they leave after that, they are a little bit more comfortable with sharing their environment with them, which is what Wasamaki is about. It's about living in balance with everything else, because we just can't keep pushing things away from us. Eventually they'll have nowhere to go and they'll disappear, and it's about trying to encourage a relationship with the environment so that we don't have to destroy it, we can live with it around us and just be tolerant to things, because everything has a use in this system.
Correct. Of course, big shout out to West Indian Hooping. So they're doing night tours here.
Yes.
What other sort of, do you refer to them as events, or what else takes place here?
Well, there are other people using this space. So my partner, Suzette, she has chickens, brown eggs TT. She does free range eggs. So she produces the eggs, but we actually use the chickens to help us keep some of our beds clean. They're free-ranged through our syntropic agroforestry.
So the chickens are part of the system, the chickens are coming in, the chickens are weeding, the chickens are eating pests, the chickens are turning the surface layer of the soil.
Yes, and she is reducing her feed costs, because although she does supplement them, she has to buy a lot less feed because they're naturally feeding on what's over there. And from all the reviews we've got from our customers, the eggs taste so much different. And you yourself are a customer. You've tasted some of the eggs.
Yes, the eggs are absolutely delicious. The yolks are lovely.
So that's another person using the space. And then my daughter, she runs her business, Loud Lollies TT, where she does fresh fruit lollies without any sugar. She sources a lot of the fruit externally, but there are certain things that we are growing on site that eventually she'll be able to tap into some of the stuff that we're growing. Because it didn't make sense for me to grow them before, because I couldn't do it at a scale where it was worth my while to go to the market with them. So
right.
If she can use them and we don't have to go anywhere, then it makes sense for us to now start putting that into our system.
Okay, so West Indian Hooping, night walks, brown eggs TT, Loud Lollies, Wasamaki fish farm as well, I believe. But you also mentioned workshops, and you said that you're always looking for people to partner with on the site to do projects. What sort of workshops happen or are happening?
So we encourage people that can teach sustainable techniques or regenerative techniques to other people to use this site. What we do is we provide the teaching area, and sometimes we provide the materials, or sometimes we actually have a space that we are assembling something that people can come and learn about the process. So we've worked with people that make soap, we've worked with people that are natural builders, people that are weavers.
When we say natural builders, we mean somebody that's just good at building things?
No, we actually, when we say natural building, it's about using material that's within your site so that you don't have to bring stuff from outside of your site. So we've built structures with clay, we've built structures with teak, so that there's timber framing techniques that you can use, or there is mud building techniques that you can use where you can build bricks, so you can learn things like tapia. You can learn about the lipierring of floors. You can learn about building a fireside. You can learn about building a rocket stove, all with material that's available on your site so that you don't have to spend a lot of money bringing stuff in from outside.
What is the future for Wasamaki Systems? I imagine that forecasts and outlook have changed since Corona has come upon us. What is the future for Wasamaki Systems? What's happening at Wasamaki Systems?
Well, currently we've had to scale back a lot with COVID. So our internship program's been closed. Workshops, we haven't had workshops for a while.
Because you were having an internship program where people could come, be residents at the site,
yes,
and learn and practice. Because even though we keep speaking of income, education goes hand in hand with this, right?
Yes, so there was the opportunity where people could come and spend from 1 month to 3 months on this site. Because when you learn a permaculture design course, you're only here for 10 days, and that's a lot of almost bookwork that you learn, but the actual hands-on activities where you can get a lot of feedback is stuff that that the internship program was covering. So people could come and stay for a month, up to 3 months. There was a certain cost involved. There was a team that we put together to actually do that. We had someone that was teaching natural building. We had someone that was teaching woodworking. There was me teaching permaculture. And then my daughter was actually the chef, and she was using a lot of the produce that we have on this farm to actually do all the meals, to teach people about sometimes how to use alternative things that we grow on this farm that are more tolerant to pests, so that you don't have to use pesticides on them.
Okay, you've spoken about water capture, you've spoken about fires. Mm-hmm. What is the future for you with these things? I imagine that every dry season you have a little fire situation, right?
Yes, so we have extreme fire situation.
Extreme?
Extreme. So extreme that one of my workers has lost his life in a fire over here.
Really?
So yes, that happened about 15 years ago.
Well, hold on. Bushfires are something that happen every day. We don't pay any attention to them. You just telling me that you have actually lost a life on this farm from a bushfire.
Yes. So one of our workers, I wasn't on site that day, but we had a fire. He was living here on site. He had a heart attack while he was fighting the fires. Possibly the smoke and stuff like that. But every year for the 24 years that we've been here, we've had to fight fires at least 3 or 4 times during the dry season. Sometimes we lose, and then we lose trees that we've planted. We've lost up to 10-year-old trees where 10 years' work goes up in smoke in one day.
Because you have hardwoods and you have fruiting trees as well, right?
Yes, so part of our plan when we transitioned out of citrus was to plant a lot of teak, cedar, mahogany, pink pui, fiddlewood, crapo, a lot of local hardwood trees. So, but those are 25-year projects, so that it takes 25 years until you harvest a tree, especially in these climates here in central Trinidad. So it is a risk because a lot of your money is tied up in those trees, so that if you are not careful with fires, and we are careful, we cut fire traces every year, and every dry season there is somebody here on this farm 24 hours a day. There is somebody here just in case, and then when we do have fires, we have a process in place where we get the rakes, we get the cutlasses, we get the backpack sprayers, and then we go out and we deal with them. So
and you're all handling it yourselves? We
are always handling it ourselves. There's nobody to help us. Sometimes our neighbors will show up. The fire brigade will only come if it's threatening your house. If it's threatening your crops, they don't come, because sometimes they can't even get their fire engine into where it would make sense.
So you literally have to protect your investment yourself?
Yes, we have to.
Okay. And it's been apparently very, very costly.
It is very costly because when forestry teaches you about planting trees, you plant your trees, you look after them for 2 years, and then they're above the grass and you leave them alone. But every year we have to still spend money sending the tractor between the trees to cut down all the grass that's still showing up because it is a fire hazard. So there's a ongoing cost that if people didn't light fires, we wouldn't have to deal with. And then we've had fires that have spread into our flower production areas. We've lost all our irrigation pipes, all our sprinklers.
Wow.
And we've lost production for 6 to 8 months until the flowers come back.
So I mean, apart from losing the plant, which let's refer to it as the product, apart from losing the product, you're losing all of the peripherals as well. You're losing the sprinklers, you're losing the pipes, you lose everything connected to it.
And sometimes we think the fire has been taken care of, and you leave the site, and then sometimes it flares back up and then it crosses somewhere and we lose things. So we try and be as careful as possible, but in the end, it's just people lighting fires carelessly all around us.
But one saving grace is your water, right?
We have water.
Water being from springs and streams.
Well, we have streams that flow through Samaki during the rainy season. Because of all the fires and deforestation around us, they dry up as soon as the dry season comes in. So we have ponds where we store water, but as we're losing more and more agricultural land to housing, there is housing coming up around us, and the water that flows down to us from the housing is, in my opinion, getting more and more contaminated with household waste. so that the water itself, now that we have to use on our crops, that we have for all the fish and stuff that are in the water, that may all eventually just die out, because as the pollution increases, and that's part of what our future vision is trying to encourage people that live in the watershed above us to start taking care of what they put down their drain and where they dump their garbage, because all of that feeds down into us, it feeds into our water, and then from the water it'll go into our food, and then from the food it goes back into your body. So the garbage that you throw out somewhere is coming back to you in the food, and this is across Trinidad because all farmers take from rivers, most of them. I can't say all, but most of them would take from rivers, and if we contaminate the rivers because people drive up into the northern range and dump garbage, it's where the rivers start, and then all those rivers feed down to all the farmers lower down.
And that is happening to you right here in
And that is
Central.
happening all around us. Happening here, we find TVs, garbage, dead animals dumped over the bridge into our rivers.
So Earl, we are here with your chickens, and we are in what I would understand to be one of your centipede beds.
Every month we cut it all down and put it on top of the soil, and then that cuts back a lot on how much fertilizer we need to use. Yes, so this is where everything started. 24 years ago, this was our filtration room. This was our fish house over there where we invested heavily.
Thank you for viewing this episode of Harvest. In case you missed any of this episode, you can check out the repeats every Monday at 8 p.m. and Thursday at 6:30 p.m. See you on the next episode.